We have to do it. We are law-abiding citizens. And we will make sure that we do that. Whoa! Yeah, despite camera difficulties, we will soldier on. In late August and early September of 2019, we took a road trip through 4 provinces in eastern Canada: Quebec, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, and Prince Edward Island. In this episode, we'll travel to Cape Breton and drive the Cabot Trail. Good morning.
Got a frog.
Let's try that again. Good morning. Here we are on day 7 of driving and 12 days since we left home. We can't even remember what it looks like anymore. This is getting desperate, but big day today. We're leaving Halifax and we're headed for Cape Breton. This will be the start of our drive around the Cabot Trail. Today we're headed for a place called Margery Forks, which looks like a little dot on the map, but we're hoping we'll be okay. We have a hotel booked there for this evening, so we'll be taking all day to drive there, even though Google tells us it should take just under 4 hours. I'm betting closer to 7 or 8 hours probably on the road. Yeah, we've got to stop along the way. We do need to find a grocery store to restock some of our picnic items.
Yeah, we're not sure about stores along the...
So
it's better to be prepared.
Right, better to be prepared, but Boy Scouts. It's us.
Or Girl Guides.
Girl Guides. Young paramilitary organizations. Yes, and we also need to find gas somewhere along the way, otherwise this is going to be a very short trip, and the next video you'll see was us standing beside the side of the road hitchhiking.
Would you show them that?
I'd probably show them that. I mean, I believe in you know...
Gotta look successful.
Well, you know, I mean, we also have to show the warts and all of the trip. With that cheery thought in mind, we headed out of town. Our first obstacle was a toll bridge between Halifax and Dartmouth, the Angus L. Mcdonald Bridge. This would be one of 2 toll bridges we'd cross on the trip, and it was a real throwback for us. Rather than having your license plate scanned, on this toll bridge we actually had to toss money into a basket. Quaint, but it worked just fine, and soon we were out on the open highway, headed north. The miles flew by quickly, and with the exception of a stop for groceries, a stop for gas, and a stop for more coffee, we made good time. It wasn't long before we were crossing the causeway onto Cape Breton. And it also wasn't long before we thought it was a good time to stop for lunch, with a view. We just had a good lunch, made up of things that we took from the hotel this morning. Not bad. Not bad for lunch. And we're just going to continue down the road. I can't even tell you at this point that we'll make it to our hotel in this stretch. I'm betting we're going to stop 1 or 2 or 3 times before we get there.
Pretty nice.
It is pretty nice.
This is St. George's
St. George's Bay, yeah. And we're going to be going beside that for quite a little while here. And if we see anything of interest, you'll see it too. Predictably, it really wasn't long before we stopped again. This time at the Port Hood Day Park. Wandering over the sand dunes, dodging the sharp blades of grass, it felt like a day at the beach, which it really was, I guess. It also turned out to be a great place to take some photos, so of course we did. Port Hood. Nice beach.
Yeah, it's very nice. It's red sand. Very, very fine sand.
Very fine sand.
Yeah, it's a nice little walk along the beach, and then
long grass.
what's that part that sticks out?
I don't know. But I did take a picture of it, so I'll show it to you.
Okay.
little
And then the
diagram of
boardwalk
the area.
all the way back.
Boardwalk was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tall grass. The grass is like knives cutting
It is sharp. Yeah.
your ankles, but
Yeah.
we got
Yeah.
here. No blood.
Worth the stop.
Yes, very much so. And they have washrooms here.
And they have washrooms. So definitely, if you're here, make the stop.
Yeah.
Back on the road, we alternated between watching where we were driving and gawking at the scenery, which wasn't too hard as traffic was light. Before long, we pulled into the small town of Naboo. We were keen to see this town, mostly because while we were researching this trip, we found a lot of information about the Red Shoe Pub, and we wanted to see it for ourselves. We had read that the pub is owned by the Rankin sisters, part of the musical Rankin family, and most videos we had seen of the place featured a lot of singing and dancing. Being afternoon though, we found the pub quiet and relaxing. We enjoyed a glass of local beer, then said our goodbyes and returned to the car. As we did, we were once again glad we had taken the time to stop and smell the roses. Well, the hydrangeas. A short drive from Naboo brought us to Margaree Forks and the Margaree Riverview Inn, our home for the night. We're now in the palatial surroundings of the Margaree Riverview Inn, and this is at Margaree Forks, which seems to be a very small place.
Very small.
Yeah, we're very lucky that we actually stopped at the grocery store and picked up some food that we could eat for supper tonight, because not a lot of restaurants in this neck of the woods. And just as well, I think we're both pretty tired after today. It was a big day of driving. Very beautiful, though. This place is interesting. It's very picturesque around here. Nice valley. But it is sadly infested with bugs.
Not that bad.
It's like the scene from a horror movie.
It is.
You go outside and you're swarmed with bugs.
Just in the evening when it got a little bit cooler.
Yeah, as it cools down in the evening and the sun goes down, there's a lot of bugs out there.
Is, yeah.
I was out taking some photos that I'm hoping I can share with you if they turn out.
Beautiful view.
Beautiful light, and the view from here is great. But it's a challenge to take pictures when you're getting chewed on every exposed limb. So I suppose I could have put on more clothing, some pants, or a jacket or something like that. But anyway, tomorrow we are going from here to Ingonish on the Cabot Trail, and we're going to be stopping. Our plan is to stop and hike the Skyline Trail along the way. So we have to do a little planning about how long that's going to take, how long it takes us to get where we're going, so we don't find ourselves, in the cover of darkness up a hillside somewhere. And so that's going to wrap it for today. Going to get a little bit of rest and do some planning, and we'll talk with you bright and early in the morning. We survived the sleep in the little motel in Margaree Forks. Barely. It was an interesting place to stay. The bed was broken. The bathroom door wouldn't close. And the guy next door to us, we could hear snoring through the wall.
Sound like he was sleeping with us.
We had a fantastic breakfast in our hotel room, and now we're on the road on the Cabot Trail. And so far, it's living up to everything they said. There's traffic all over the place. We were stopped just up the road here.
Why
We've
did this guy park right behind you?
made a few kilometers, and yeah, there's a guy on a motorcycle just parked right behind our car, so you might read about us in the news when we back over this guy. Not such a good plan, fella. So, our plan for the day. We're going from where we were this morning in Margery Forks to Ingonish, the other way. Along the way, we're going to stop at a bunch of probably scenic viewpoints. We're hoping to do the Skyline Trail hike.
Yes.
Which means just a little bit more up the road here, we've got to stop at a town called Camp, and we've got to get a permit for the park because it is a national park and you need a permit to go in the park.
How much is it?
I don't know, $7 each, something like that. So not a big deal, but we have to do it. We are law-abiding citizens, and we will make sure that we do that. Whoa! Yeah, despite camera difficulties, we will soldier on. Yeah, we're going to take a look at this pretty viewpoint here at Cap Lemoine, something like that. We're in the Acadian area right now on this side of Cape Breton. So we'll have a look and we'll bring you updates as the day goes on. The drive was incredibly scenic, with green hills to our right and blue ocean to our left. It wasn't always fast, with some local traffic, but it still didn't take us long to reach the charming little town of Camp. And there we found something we couldn't resist. All right, you can call us weak, but we had to stop at this great bakery, and I think we bought half the place, plus a coffee. It's worth it. Soon after getting our fill of baked goods, we entered Cape Breton Highlands National Park. Don't worry, we stopped at the entrance and bought our passes. And the cost of admission was worth every penny. We had barely gotten into the park before we pulled over to take in a scenic viewpoint. And then another. They even threw in some construction to make sure we didn't get going too fast. Not that we would have. And then it was time for the Skyline Trail. All right, we're starting on the Skyline Trail. We're appreciating the sign here that says it's coyote habitat, and there's people everywhere. So we're going to enjoy it as much as we can. Great views at the end. We'll show you. We decided to do the Skyline Trail counterclockwise for a longer hike. We trudged happily up the trail, taking in a landscape that had been beaten and shaped by harsh weather over many, many years. It was at once beautiful and forbidding. So of course, I had to take some photos. Along the way, we made some interesting discoveries, including a pen built to keep moose out, not in. Apparently, moose are capable of destroying forests by eating the trees, so this enclosure was built to keep them out and give the forest a chance to regenerate.
Oh, there you go.
And we're going to go here, and then we're going to go here. Our hike through the forest eventually brought us to the payoff, the view at the end of the Skyline Trail. And what a view! Panoramic is the best word to describe it. And windy. The wind was incredibly fierce, pushing around even the largest of us. We just finished the Skyline Trail, and it was beautiful. Was it not beautiful?
It was beautiful.
And it was.
Very hot.
And
very windy.
You would not believe the wind at the end of the trail when you go out on the exposed part where you can see the ocean and the road. We were just about blown off of the thing. It was crazy out there.
We are not kidding.
And that is not even an exaggeration.
Almost lost my glasses.
Sometimes I have been known to exaggerate. That was not an exaggeration.
No,
Pick
not
up a
at all.
foot and it blows it off sideways. Couldn't believe there were people taking children down there.
Yeah.
One of them had a stroller, and I thought, that thing's going to blow right off the cliff.
I had to tell him it's super windy. It's dangerous for your baby.
Diana gave some public service announcements.
I
don't think
know.
any of them noticed, and there was some
They
crazy.
They didn't take it down.
No.
He
Well,
went-
there was
he
one
went,
before
but-
that, though.
Yeah.
There was some crazy woman went down there in a dress. Thought she was Marilyn Monroe or something, and she wanted to. Anyway, it was nuts.
She exposed herself many times.
Yeah, well, not that I saw, but anyway, that was the Skyline Trail. We
It
really
was
enjoyed
great.
it. I hope the
We
beauty
saw
of
whales,
it.
too.
We did. We saw whales.
Yeah.
Hope the beauty of it comes through to you in the images we show you and the pictures that we'll put up. We're gonna head back onto the Cabot Trail now and continue our day, and we're gonna eat and drink something because it's super hot, dude.
I'm very hot.
All right.
All right.
See you soon.
Bye.
We recovered as we drove, letting the air conditioning work its miracles. Of course, that didn't mean we didn't stop every time we saw a nice view. Of course not. The drive is going well. We went down a very big hill, then we went through a place called Pleasant Bay, which seemed like Touristville. Lots of tourist stuff. Then we went up a big hill. Then we went down one again. Oh, we're going down one right now. Not while we're talking.
No.
We just pulled off to the side of the road because there's one thing that must be discussed at this point,
What?
and that is the distinct lack of moose.
Oh, the moose.
They promised us moose. There's signs everywhere that say, moose, watch for moose. And when you're out hiking, watch for moose.
And this is what the moose looks like.
This is what a moose looks like. This is its head. They showed us a skull.
Yeah.
We have seen no moose. Very disappointing. Now, we're not anxious to see one walk across the road in front of the cars we're driving toward it. But we would like to see one off on the side with a big set of antlers,
Look at me, look at me.
chewing the scenery. Yeah, saying, hey, here we are. We're going to continue the search for the moose, but just has to be said. We were surprised to find, as we continued down the road, a number of arts and crafts stores. Without fail, every few miles, there would be a store out in the middle of nowhere. So of course, we had to stop. We found a cute little town called Neil's Harbor, which is on the other side of Cape Breton. Well, not on the other side of Cape Breton, but on the other side of the Cabot Trail from where we were earlier today. It's a really cute little place. I would really like to be standing outside the car talking to you like this, but unfortunately the wind here is super strong. Not quite as strong as it was when we did the Skyline Trail earlier today, but it is really strong. The waves in the ocean are very high and crashing against the rocks. We did make an opportunity to have an ice cream cone, I have to confess. Yeah, it was a good ice cream cone. Had chocolate in it, had
Peanut
little
butter.
peanut butter cups
Yeah.
as well. Super good chocolate from the lighthouse. Chocolate. Super good ice cream from the lighthouse.
He's getting tired.
Yeah, I'm getting punchy. We've got to get to our destination for the day, which is Ingonish. I think we're only about 23 kilometers away from it now.
But we have to find out which one.
Yeah, we have to figure out where we're staying there. I booked the place and I can't remember the name of it, which is awkward. We'll look that up. We'll hit the highway, see what we can find down there. The last few kilometers into Ingonish went by quickly, fueled by our rising fatigue. Thankfully, we had remembered the name of our motel and found it without much difficulty. Greetings from Ingonish. We made it. We got to our palatial surroundings here in the Sea Breeze Motel with, I think, probably one of the best views we've had from a hotel this whole trip. We're right on the edge of the ocean.
Yeah.
And we can see right out there, and the clouds are just turning a little pink as we lie here on our, well, I gotta say,
It's pretty special.
that's a pretty nice bed. So we're here for the night. Tomorrow morning we're up and continuing on the Cabot Trail. We went out for dinner tonight to a little pub / restaurant thing just down the street here.
What was the name of that?
I do not even remember. Coastal something restaurant
Coastal
and
Restaurant
pub.
and Pub.
Maybe that was it. Coastal
Yeah.
Restaurant and Pub.
And one of the diner guys.
That's right, and it was actually featured on one of the Food Network shows.
Right.
You Gotta Eat Here. And so since we heard You Gotta Eat Here, we figured we'd better eat there, so we ate there.
And you had the
I had one of the burgers that was featured on that show.
yeah.
Diana had a spinach salad that was not featured on that show.
And you know why?
Well, now we know why that spinach salad wasn't featured on the show. The beer was good though.
Yeah, it was.
We had one beer each. I had a Serial Killer Stout, which was really good, and Diana had a pale ale that I can't remember the name of, but
Something ghost, wasn't it?
could have been. Really good. All right, well, we're going to sign off and get some sleep, we hope. And
Yeah.
we'll see you in the AM. Greetings from the parking lot for Middlehead Trail. We're in the parking lot right here, ready to do this hike. We've just gotten up and had our breakfast and left the palatial Sea Breeze Motel. And we're getting ready to be a little active first thing in the morning before we continue our drive down the Cabot Trail toward our destination at our next palatial accommodation in Waikokama. We'll find out when we get there. This trail we're going to go on this morning is 3.8 kilometers, 1 to 2 hours. It promises us views of seabirds and moose. Will we see a moose on this trip? What do you think?
Sure.
Okay, if we do, great. If we don't, not so great. We climbed up the stairs and onto a trail that we immediately liked. And almost as immediately, I started taking photos. Beautiful views up here, aren't there? Look at that.
I love the gnarliness of the trail.
Yeah.
The footsteps.
Beautiful gnarly trail, much more what we're used to.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of trail.
Oh, there's a chipmunk or a squirrel.
Squirrel. Wow, exotic wildlife. The trail really was beautiful, and the views of the ocean were breathtaking. Everywhere we looked, there were photo subjects. We stumbled through bush that got steadily denser, then emerged on a headland over the heaving, roiling sea. And, yep, more photos. Well, we made it to the end of Middlehead, the trail. It was an easy trail. Lots of nice gnarly roots and things for us to be challenged a little bit rather than yesterday's trail where it was all flat and smooth. And as you can see when we got to the end, we are rewarded with some amazing views. Look at that. Isn't that crazy? Stuck right out here in the Atlantic Ocean. Very nice and well worth the walk. We're going to finish the trail now. We thought we'd do a wrap up here before we get back to Peopleville, because what we found is as time went on the trail, there were more and more and more people coming out. So when we get back, we expect to find the parking lot probably full of cars.
Yeah,
There
there was
were-
only two when
Two including us when
Yeah.
we got here, so
Yeah.
bet you it's full now. It's been a very nice hike.
Yeah.
Glad we did it. We are unfortunately sopping wet.
It's very
Super humid out here.
Super.
It's I think we might just have to throw the clothes we're wearing in the garbage. They
no, we can wash them.
Okay, we can wash them. All right. Anyway, we're going to go back to the car, see if we can cool down, drink some water,
Show them the stairs.
and head down the road. Oh, Diana wants you to see the stairs.
Pretty cool.
There's some stairs we're going to climb up in a minute to take us out. Back in the car once more, we continued south. And again, we were astounded to find several crafts businesses out in what felt like the middle of nowhere. One really caught Diana's eye, a glass-blowing studio and shop. Of course, having watched the glass being created in the studio, we had to go inside the shop to see all of the pretty creations. Diana really liked the store, so much so that she bought a bowl to take home with us. Fortunately, there was a bakery just across the road, and we were able to stock up on all the essentials: coffee, brownies, and other goodies. Yep, the essentials. Now fully stocked, we stopped in several more arty places, and then felt the urge for lunch. Yes, even after the bakery. Welcome to beautiful Quebec, where we're having a lunch break. Diana's still eating her lunch. We stopped here to make a sandwich and to take in the beautiful surroundings in this town. This is really nice. Here in Quebec, we're on the shore of Bredor Lake, I believe, which is a saltwater lake, and really pretty. There's a nice lighthouse out there. There's some sailboats. Some people went by in kayaks. It looks very idyllic. So we're going to explore this a little bit after we finish our lunch.
Looks like a bunch of cabins over there.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Or gazebos or something. Not sure what's on the far side.
We're gonna check out the town.
We're going to paint the town red.
After I finish eating.
Actually, we'll probably just paint it a light shade of pink. We're not that crazy. No, we're not that crazy, but we do know how to explore a town. We parked the car and walked the streets, ducking into the many shops and attractions we found there. And we found a lot. From art galleries, to gift shops, to clothing stores, everything. They even brought in a bagpiper, just for us. Finally though, it was time to go, and we set out on the road for the final push to our next hotel. But first, a stop at Farmer's Daughter in Waikagama. We had heard a lot about Farmer's Daughter, and we were curious to take a look. Our favorite part, predictably, was the bakery. But we also took time to play outside the store before heading to our hotel. Tonight we're staying in a very special hotel near Waikagama on Cape Breton. And when I say special, I mean special. Check this out. Oh yeah, baby. Look at that. Nothing but the best for us. Anyway, I'm kidding. We're not actually staying in this hotel. We're staying in this one, the Aberdeen Motel, right next door. Not a bad place. Our room even has air conditioning, so that we got that going for us. Right beside the highway, though, as you can probably hear with the vehicles going by, so we may have to get used to that. Hopefully it doesn't go too late in the night. Here we are in our palatial hotel room in Waikagama. We just got back from eating dinner at the old Brass Door restaurant.
A rec room. It did feel like a rec room.
It was a bit like a rec room, but it was, you know,
In
the food
50s.
the food was decent, but the place was about 1,000 degrees. So we're now finished with the Cabot Trail.
Yes.
And we're about ready now to head out tomorrow morning to Prince Edward Island,
Yeah.
which will be another first for us.
We're going to be taking the ferry over.
Right, we're taking the ferry. So, Diana, if you had to sum up the last couple of days going around the Cabot Trail, what was your favorite part?
Well, I love the
I really liked today's hike.
Yeah, today's
like
hike
that
was
kinda
nice. Yeah, it is.
But
a hard one,
I
isn't it?
definitely am happy that we took a few days to go around.
Right.
I can't imagine doing it all in one day. It wouldn't be that much fun. I just like taking our time.
That's good. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. We'll be back into, the regular part of Nova Scotia, not Cape Breton, and then over to PEI.
Do you know how long the ferry trip is?
I think the ferry is about an hour and a quarter, so we'll bring you coverage from there.
Fine.
Our ferry is reserved for 1 p.m., so we'll be leaving here relatively early in the morning and hitting the highway. Anyway, with that, I'm going to take a cold shower and try to bring down my core temperature. For now, though, we'll sign off, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Sorry,
That's what happens.
flipping all over the place here.
She's all over the map.
I'm all over.
Yeah. With that, we'll leave you